You dated these rails. How old are these?
1916.
Wow. And when did this open?
1886.
We made it.
Here we are.
So this is the Lakeside Station. We
Yeah.
are up in Marblehead right now.
Marblehead, Lakeside area. Coming to film the Lakeside and Marblehead Railway, which is a real short railway that was for passenger service and to haul limestone from the Marblehead quarry.
Right. And it's kind of hard to get to. As you can see, we're kind of keeping our voices a little bit toned down here because it is right in the dead middle of a campground area. Yeah. Not really sure how it is. We had to like literally get permission to come in here.
We got permission to. We told him that we wanted to check out the station out here, and he gave us a pass to get in. So
it's definitely worth it because this thing is in beautiful condition. Wasn't it just restored not too long ago?
I don't really know, to be honest with you, but whenever they did a good job. I mean, it looks amazing. It's an event center now, but the inside, it looks like they have not modified a bunch to it. So it looks good inside. But yeah, this is one of 3 original stations in its original location. We got original rails next to us here. One of 2 places. The other one we don't even know for sure where there's still rails left.
Right. I think this is probably it. What you dated these rails. How old are these?
1916.
Wow. And when did this open?
So the railroad was incorporated in 1886. April 17th, 1886, it was its own entity until July 31st, 1964. Then it was just a railroad inside of the quarry. But before that, it was its own company. Had their own locomotives.
Where'd they store the locomotives? Still up here?
So it was in the quarry.
Oh, that's
grounds,
right.
And they tore those buildings down, as well as the Marblehead station. Like the Lakeside, obviously, still here. And then the Danbury station, which is right on it'd be kind of the northwest side of Sandusky Bay, which is where they met the current day Norfolk Southern tracks.
That's right.
But right there is where they had their Danbury station. That station's still around. It's in Fremont, Ohio. It's a business of some kind now. But it's really cool. They saved 2 out of 3 stations. There's not a lot of railroads that can say that 66 repeating percent of their railroad depots are still around.
Yeah.
Granted, this is only 7 miles of track. It was still awesome.
Right.
That it's still around.
So let's walk around this and just kind of show you around because once again, this thing is in great condition. We'll take a look at really the only true that we know of remaining tracks that are here. We're just kind of taking a walk here. I mean, this is literally right where they get on, right where passengers would get on. And again, you said you dated these tracks. It said 1916, which is... That's right, Lackawanna. So, but as you can see, look at this. This is beautiful. I think I read that they just restored this not too long ago, but overall, it's
did a marvelous job.
I know, it's great.
Old freight. This is definitely how passengers' suitcases and stuff came out of the building.
Oh yeah.
That's why the door's bigger. But it's probably original passenger door. This is some sort of ticket booth, I think, originally. Again, I'm not an expert on this, so
right.
I'm just going off of intuition, but. Still, it's been recently painted. It looks really good. Looks like the right-of-way goes off both directions as a trail for.
Yeah, look at that.
I think it says 2-something miles that way, and I don't know about that way, but there's another spot too where it's a rail to trail, which is cool. Wish it was still here, but take what you can get.
Right. I didn't even know this was still here, but this is pretty cool. So it's starting to get pretty close. As you can see, it's starting to get a little bit covered up here because I know that this is kind of like their trail that they got down there and down there, but I'm sure people walk on this all the time. But they're both still here. You can really only see the one, but you can kind of see the other one right here. As you can see, just kind of making its way down original track, which is cool. They kept it, built a literal whole campground around the entire place, which is kind of cool. But they got Lakeside over here too. The whole building itself, beautiful shape. But
yeah. This was a common carrier, like I said, till 1964. Hauled basically limestone from the quarry, but they did passenger service too, obviously, passenger station. But
when did the passenger service stop?
The 50s.
50s.
And there's some cool pictures. They had some neat stuff, kind of like Doodlebug-esque cars, which some of the rail people know what that is.
I was gonna say I'm lost.
It looks like a bus on rail wheels, but
we're trying to see how far up that the rails go because they're obviously all right there. Then it comes kind of right here, crosses the road. Can't tell if it's going, but right there's some of the nature trail, which is the old right-of-way. 2.2 miles, 2.25 miles, but that's cool. Maybe we should walk that one day.
So we're out here by the quarry. You can't really tell because there's a wall of trees next to us, but we got some cool drone footage of what's left of today. But we want to talk a little bit about some of the different owners and some of the stuff that happened during the quarry, or in the quarry, because that's kind of what dictated the end of the railroad. So,
yeah.
1955, this entire entity was sold by its original owner, the railroad, all the quarries, to start off from where we left off of, but like right over there is where it connected to the Lakeshore and Michigan Southern, which is the New York Central, now modern day Norfolk Southern. But yeah, I'm gonna jump back in what I was talking about. 1955, all the properties, the railroad, the quarries were all sold to Kempstone. Kempstone owned them for till 1962. But towards the end of that is when they started to modernize the quarries, and they were kind of starting to lean away from doing railroad as transportation of the aggregates out. 1962, they sold it to Standard Slag. 1962, Standard Slag, which is based in Youngstown, I believe is part of the steel mills, because that's where all this stuff went to, is limestone. It's used in steel making process to make it more pure. But they sold it to Standard Slag, and then 2 years after they bought it, they officially abandoned the railroad. Lakeshore, Michigan was no longer, it was just an industrial railroad that they used from time to time. They finished kind of installing the conveyor systems, which you can see in our video of the quarry, and that shows that will unload into the ore dock that goes to lake freighters.
Yeah.
So we've seen some lake freighters up here.
We have. It's, of course, we're up here today, so there's not one anywhere, Sandusky, Marblehead, anything like that.
Nope, not a single one.
And then this is the route right here that goes over the bay, which, if I get this thing to focus and show you out there, that's a really awesome old bridge. Yeah. And this was it. Like, as you can see, we got some drone
right over here.
The Y that goes
up to
the peninsula.
The Y was right over there, and that's where it started. That's where the Danbury station was, which is now in Fremont, Ohio. I believe the station that we started at was the
Lakeside.
Yeah, it was Lakeside, and I don't think it was the middle station. And then I believe Marblehead was a little further down, further east of where we were at, which is where the line ended, I'm assuming.
But like looking through, you can clearly see all the right-of-way. Yeah. Pretty much the entire right-of-way is left. Obviously, it's all overgrown and whatnot. But like, actually in downtown Marblehead, there's really not much left. You might be able to see like a little bit of a hill. Like we drove, we really didn't see much. But the main goal is just check out the station.
Right,
which
see that.
We got to go see.
Impeccable shape it was. But yeah, talk about some of the equipment they used real quick. They had pretty standard cars and containing vessels and stuff. They mostly did limestone out of the quarry. That was and then passengers. There was something like 58 million tons limestone, and then like 570,000 revenue passengers from 1886 to 1964. But they had steam engines. So their first was an American type, which is like the stereotypical like Civil War steam locomotive, 440 type. Then they had, for the remainder of the steam era, pretty much right away they sold that. Actually, a railroad close to us, it was a Canton-based railroad. And they traded that to them for an 060 switcher type locomotive, and that's what they used until 1953 is when they
and then that was it.
Yeah, then they switched to diesels. They had a couple of GE 80-ton locomotives, and then an SW8. I feel a few other, small switcher type diesel locomotives. But the passengers, at first they were hauled in steam, kind of traditional ways, what we know as like passenger cars. But then they switched to, I mentioned the Doodlebug. There's a Fairbanks Morse gas powered self-propelled car, which is similar to that, or like a Bud car, but it's really cool. There's a picture of it on this railroad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
All right, we'll find it. It'll be up here.
But that's what they used until they ceased passenger service, which I believe was in the 50s. They stopped doing that. But just a handful of locomotives. They did mention in a research that their 060s, they had numerous, and they were all kind of just different. Basically, like they buy from wherever.
Mm-hmm.
But there was car shops up here, and it was on the property of the quarry, and they raised all that stuff in the 90s. Lafarge bought it from the Standard Slag in the 80s, and then about almost 10 years after they bought it from Standard Slag, they ripped everything up, including the car shops, the diesel shops.
So pretty much there's nothing left.
Yeah.
Which there are rumors that on the quarry there are still some rail left, but obviously we can't really go in there.
We couldn't find it.
We flew the drone around, didn't see anything, but they probably just mined it and it's buried it.
Yeah, it's probably buried under like the dirt and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a neat little railroad.
It is.
There's
it's
a decent
cool,
history.
especially just because of how much of a big tourist destination it is up here. Like, for example, I didn't know that you know, this main causeway, which is a beautiful railroad. I bet you that anybody who goes over this loves it.
Oh yeah.
If they do, like seeing the bridge over there. I don't know how old that bridge is or whatnot, but I've gone under it with my boat and whatnot, just kind of up and around here my whole life, and I had no idea that there was a railroad up here.
Yeah.
Until you look.
Yeah, right. It's hard to tell unless you know what you're looking for.
I didn't know how important it was. I didn't know there were stations. I thought it was just a quarry railroad, but it wasn't. It was passenger.
I mean, I'm kind of amazed by it. They turned something because of the tourist aspect of up here, Lakeside Marblehead, which actually Lakeside's really cool. That's where the Lakeside station was. It's like a gated community, and there's campers up there. They had a really old building that they used for an event center, like not the station but another one. It was from the 1800s, a beautiful stone church.
It's just littered with all kinds of little stuff here and there.
Yeah,
and we didn't have enough time to check it all out, but
we didn't want to kind of invade. You know, we had permission to be out there, but we didn't really want to mess with the lives of the people that lived there. But it was neat. It was really cool, and that's what really helped this railroad, that and the quarry. But yeah, like once in the 60s they decided to start shipping everything by lake freighter, there was no other reason to have it.
But anyway, I really think that it's like I said, been coming up here a lot. Big tourist destination. I didn't know how big of a tourist destination it's been throughout, you know, the last 80 years with Cedar Point and whatnot. And like I said, we read that furthest east station is people would get off there, get on a ferry, and head to Cedar Point, because obviously Cedar Point was a island up until I can't remember when it was, or when they built the causeway there, but like that. Johnson's Island is a big tourist destination. Kelly's Island, it was just basically a route to come up here and go have fun, even in the 40s, 50s. Hang out and have a good time. But anyway, this is just a short little video that we decided to do because it's cool up here. It's a beautiful place. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, let us know, and we'll see you in the next one.